What's up, folks? Beardless Ty in the building, back at you with another one. And today we have our trap body part guide. So we got the anatomy, proper amounts of volume, reps, sets, frequency, and the exercises. So let's get straight into it. Here we go. All right, straight to the anatomy. The trap is a large fan-shaped muscle that originates at the spine and attaches at the clavicle and the scapula. Now, we can divide the traps into three different regions: upper, middle, and lower, or superior, middle, and inferior. The three different regions have different functions. The upper fibers shrug or pull the scapula upwards. The middle fibers retract the scapula, and the lower fibers depress the scapula. So one good cue I've heard for scapular depression is try to put your shoulders in your pockets. However, most important function here is actually scapular retraction. Now, when we hear traps, we immediately think scapular elevation, but all three regions of the traps are responsible for retraction. And so that is our primary function. That's how we hit the entirety of the traps. And so that's where the bulk of your trap training should be done. One very important note to make on the traps is the direction that the fibers travel in each region of the traps. So the upper fibers, they travel not just upwards, but inwards at a diagonal. And muscles pull in line with their fibers. So if we can match the line of resistance to the direction that the fibers travel, we'll have a more effective exercise. Now, this is also demonstrated in the research that if you have 30 to 45 degrees of shoulder abduction, so if your arms are out here and you shrug inwards, again matching that diagonal of the fibers of the upper traps, you will have a more effective exercise and the upper traps will be more active. Same thing with the lower traps. The lower trap fibers travel inward at a diagonal as well. So if we're trying to train the lower fibers, which most people don't, but if you are, then we want to be out here. We want to have a wide grip and pull downward, put the shoulders in the pockets. The middle fibers run pretty much horizontally, so long as we're pulling from in front of us, then we're good there. The traps cannot experience stretch mediated hypertrophy, so we don't really have any exercises that have that in mind. However, we do want to train the traps at as long of a range of motion as we possibly can. Moving on to the fiber typing. So as usual, the different regions have different fiber typings. So for your upper traps, which again is what most people are trying to see grow when they're looking for trap training, so that's probably what you're most interested in. The upper traps are the most fast twitch dominant region of your traps. So we need heavier weights, fewer sets, less reps, less frequency for the upper traps. The middle and the lower traps are more postural muscles, and any postural muscle, anything that needs to keep you upright for long periods of time, is going to be more slow twitch dominant. So your middle and lower fibers are more slow twitch dominant than your upper. However, like I also said, performing scapular retraction trains all of the fibers of your traps. So for trap training, we're going to have two primary categories of exercises with a third subcategory. Our two primary categories are scapular elevation and retraction. Again, retraction trains the entirety of the trap, so that's where we want to butter our bread, so to speak. Our third category, subcategory, is scapular depression. Now, the reason that's a subcategory and not a main category is if you're doing vertical pulling, which if you watch my lat guide, you are most certainly doing, you're already performing scapular depression. If you're pulling vertically, scapular depression just happens naturally. So chin-ups, pull-downs, and all their different variations, you're already performing scapular depression, especially if you're using a wide grip. For our scapular elevation moves, we're gonna keep it to no more than 3 sets in a workout, 8 to 12 reps. And for our scapular retraction movements, 4 sets, 12 to 15 reps. For scapular depression, again, consider if you're doing vertical pulling. If you are, I would keep this to a minimum 2 sets, 12 to 15 reps. If you're not doing vertical pulling for some reason, I don't know why you wouldn't, then you can go much higher because this is the most slow twitch region of the trap. So you can go as many as 4 sets, 12 to 15 reps. For frequency, I'd recommend 2 to 3 times a week for a beginner and then progressing from there as you advance in your lifting journey. Okay, here we go. Moving on to our exercise selection section. Our first move, cable scapular retraction. So for scapular retraction, we want the resistance coming from in front of us. So I wish I had moved this cable up a little bit higher, but this is a good angle of resistance as well. You want to pull the shoulder blades back. Imagine you have a pencil in your mid back and try to squeeze that pencil on each rep. Again, this is going to train the entirety of your traps. So this is generally all the motion or the only exercise you'll need for trap training in one day. Exercise number 2, what I like to call the silverback shrug. Now, I prefer the cable over the barbell primarily because when using a barbell, your lower back has to act as a stabilizer, which will limit the amount of weight that you can do. But this is still a great exercise. And again, we're training the entirety of the traps with this one. You can even bring your grip out a little bit wider to get the angle a little bit better for the upper traps. And then our final scapular retraction movement, the laying shrug. I like this one because, again, you're laying, so you're not bringing the lower back into the movement at all. You're stabilized. If you're stabilized, you can just focus on the movement, the muscle, the exercise itself without having to concern yourself with staying upright and fatiguing other muscles that we're not really trying to train. This gym isn't manlet friendly. And yeah, let's talk about it. Okay, most gyms are not short king, short queen friendly. I have to do all kinds of weird stuff to make exercises fit with my short stature. And it's not right. 30-degree cable shrug. Again, we want 30 to 45 degree abduction of the shoulder joint when we're shrugging. So you can pull the shoulders inward instead of directly upward. This is going to be more effective for your superior fibers of your traps. I had to stand on a step stool. This is bullshit. 30-degree shrug with a barbell. Same thing, 30 degrees of abduction. You can even go a little bit wider if that feels comfortable. But again, I think the cables are your better option here because the line of resistance is coming from outward. With this, you're still pulling up and down because the line of resistance is going vertically through that barbell. So the cable is going to be a little bit better, but this is a good option as well. And then finally, I wanted to give you a scapular depression movement for your lower traps. I wish I had gone a little bit wider on this exercise. I would recommend you do go a little bit wider. But regardless, hang from a bar or use a pull down machine and try to put your shoulders into your pockets. That's all you need. All right, folks, that's it for our trap body part guide. Thank you for listening. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and I will see you with the next one. Deuces.